This is All Saints Radio.
Yeah, you are now tuned in to the very best.
Live and direct.
Connect to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Worldwide. Anywhere in the world.
Hashtag All Saints Radio.
This is the All Saints Radio interview. So excited to have on the cats from Studio Caffe. If you've been a fan of the Grits crew, Mos Def, Jill Scott, DZ, and one of my personal favorites, Jade Harrell, you can appreciate the production genius of Jacksonville, Florida's finest, Mo Henderson and Michael Millionz of Studio Caffe. What's good, y'all?
What's happening?
Hey, where you guys at right now?
I'm up in Detroit, Michigan, and Mo's down in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes, sir. We're multitasking on projects, and he's there in Detroit, working, running the business side, and I'm out here getting to do the fun stuff in the studio.
Awesome. So who do I call to get my album up? No, let me quit.
Well, hey, we can make it happen. I'll put it out there to your listeners. Hey, if we can get a million tweets saying y'all want to hear a record, we'll make it happen.
Let's call it Groove City, okay?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, this is Groove City. An all-star spoken word, hip-hop, rapping, singing, all kinds of hand clapping, brought to you by me, but not really. Hey, Mo and Mike, how'd you guys connect with each other?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a long story.
Yeah, it's a long story, but let's get the real condensed version.
You know, we've been fortunate to be a part of a circle of friends that practically grew up together. And so we've known each other since we were practically carpet crawlers, and had a real close-knit family, community, church, family, community. And so literally, you know, his parents are like my parents are like his uncles.
Right, exactly.
And so it goes back many years.
And what's really unique about it, at one point in time, we were all at the same school, and it was a private school, it was a church school, and at one point you had like ourselves, then you had like Leon Timbo that was in grade school as well, and then you had it was a group kind of back in the day that they had a cool run. A lot of your listeners probably never heard of them, but if you go check them out, it's an old school Christian R&B group, A Truth for You, that like they toured with DC Talks and Toby Max and all them kind of people for many, many years.
Okay.
And so at one point in time, we literally had out of our little school that we were all part of, they're probably about 15 to 20 active groups, like active in ministry right now, full time type of thing. So we're part of a unique little community. To continue the story, to make it real quick, the quick version is basically one of the guys who was a part of our group, this guy named Teron Carter. He became a DC Talk dancer, and long and short of it is after years of dancing with DC Talk, they started a label called Go To Records, which started the Grit, and from there, that's when I started my production career with them, and then we started a record company called Shabak Entertainment, and therefore at that point, that's when Michael, and myself really hooked up on the music tip.
What's the main factor in determining which artist you work with there at Studio Caffe?
You know, with so much talent and music that's out here, we really try to connect with an artist. So whether that be on a personal level, spiritual level, really trying to find meaning behind what they're doing and behind their music, which kind of makes us the odd kids sometimes, because we're not really drawn to the popular music as much, but definitely drawn to music that speaks to more than just what's going on physically. And so we're a bit of musical rats or ruts, if you will.
Okay.
So our tastes are pretty broad. So anything from jazz to gospel to rock, we've been exposed to so much that we try to include that in everything that we're a part of.
Being that that's your background of being able to be chameleon-like, musically at least, is that how you got that connection to Jade Harrell?
Yeah, you know, Jade, again, it kind of comes from that circle that we grew up with, and literally Jade was a young girl when she started coming around, and a real good friend of ours, who is a musician and producer, really kind of took her underneath his wing and really exposed her to a lot of different music. And then from that, that's really when she kind of jumped on the radar of Mo. And then Mo brought her in the studio and really just kind of put her to work on a lot of different projects. And that's kind of how her career and her project came together. It's real organic, and she really cut her teeth doing a lot of different things for a lot of different projects.
She came in, she was a hard worker. Like, at point, would be times where she would literally, go to school, and then after school she would be up in the studio till 10, 11 at night, for weeks on end, just trying to really work, trying to write sound. Actually working with different young producers that we mentor, and just really trying to find that right energy until she kind of got to the point to where Michael and I were just like, you know what, we just need to go ahead and make a record on her and do what we got to do. And I think from the point, that's just kind of how that happened.
People need to hear this kind of stuff. As we spoke on this a couple of times now. The bottom line is, the more we get the stories out, we'll be able to come back and revisit different aspects of your faith. You know what I mean? Now that the story's being kind of rolled out in phases. The thing is, people just don't know. They don't know CHH and a lot of the artists' stories on how they came to be. So bottom line here is, this really shouldn't be the last conversation that we have, because we have to be able to get into stuff.
Absolutely.
And Jade was like, oh my gosh, she was so excited, as I was, because like I said, we're basically right next to each other. She was there in Frisco. Well, now she's over in Grand Prairie, which I've actually done work over there as well. I'm familiar with the area. So she was happy that she was speaking with somebody that actually is, understands where she's at.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to being able to call on you guys and call on Jade as well to add some perspective about faith and how it helps you do what you do. I really want to have a separate conversation about wisdom and being able to properly put artists where they have their God-given talents, making sure that your relationship with Christ and stuff is being able to discern how to put the stuff together. Because something Jade mentioned was that she can just basically walk into the studio, sing off the lyric sheet, and you guys can put together what you need, and she doesn't even have to really have much of a clue as to what you guys are going for, but you put her in a position to succeed just by how you set her up to win. And I thought that was beautiful about having wisdom on a deeper level. So
I was going to say, that's really the highest type of compliment that we can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the definition of producer right there.
That's my dudes out of the Studio Caffe on this week's All Saints Interview with D-Mac. Thanks for being on the show this week, guys.
You're checking out All Saints Radio.
So crank it up. What? Ha!
All Saints Radio.
Did you know nearly 20,000 children die each day due to poverty? World Vision is a Christian organization working with children, their families, and their communities all over the world tackle poverty. Hear their cries, speak for the unspoken, and see what is happening in the world. Help these children and their families by sponsoring a child in need or making donations to those families that need us. Be aware and spread the word. Don't turn a blind eye to poverty. World Vision.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
This is All Saints Radio.
Hey, it's the ASR Interview with Derriqmaq. Every Sunday this time, we bring you the greatest artists in CHH, CEDM, CCM. This week, I am smiling like I drank a whole pitcher of Kool-Aid, bro. I got that big Kool-Aid smile on my face. It's Sherryl Bako. What is going on, sister?
Nothing much. Just so excited to be here and to be talking to you guys. This is my first radio interview ever.
Well, let's talk about how this thing got started. You're out on the West Coast, right?
Yes, I currently live in California in the Orange County, LA area.
So where is Jesus finding your walk these days out in Cali?
Well, as soon as I graduated college, I actually was going to move out to Seattle and Washington, and a long story, but I had like crazy Jesus encounter, and he told me to stay in California. And so I ended up joining kind of a full-time ministry Christian group called Circuit Riders, kind of stemmed out of a group called YWAM. And we did tours across America at different universities, just talking about Jesus and just wanting to see a whole generation of young people like fall in love again with Jesus.
Yeah, that's a great testimony right there, Sherryl. But let's transition a little bit. Share with everyone how the song Darling came about.
Well, my last year in college, kind of going through a rough patch. And, you know, it's just a classic. You're young and you desire to be in a relationship. And just, you know, having that conversation with God for so long kind of kept it away and didn't think Jesus ever cared about that part of my heart. And just one night, I just completely broke down in my room and I was weeping and finally just had that conversation with God and was so raw. And honestly, I can't even explain what happened. It was like I heard the song being sang over me. Like, I just started to hear just this super tender voice, and he just started saying, "Darling, oh sweet darling," and I heard the whole thing. Afterwards, it was like kind of, I wasn't asleep or in a trance or anything, but I kind of woke up and I was like, whoa. I was weeping and so impacted by it, and I was like, I have to write down that song. I have to sing it. And so I just sang everything that I heard over me. But then I kept it hidden for a long time. I didn't really share it with anyone. So I'm going to say about 5 months ago, I had showed a friend, and they were like, whoa, I feel the Holy Spirit on this.
That's Sherryl Bako on All Saints Radio. I'm Derriqmaq. Connect to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. The hashtag is All Saints Radio. And thanks so much, Sherryl, for checking in with us this week.
Yeah! You are now tuned in to the very best.
Music with a higher calling.
Live and direct.
Connect to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Worldwide. Anywhere in the world.
Hashtag All Saints Radio.
What's good? You're checking out another great edition of All Saints Radio. It's music with a higher calling. And right about now, it's time for the cue. Check it out, y'all. Have you ever been in a situation where someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I know you're going through something, and I'll pray for you"? Have you ever been there? Well, check it out. This week's cue is for you. Do you believe the prayers of others actually can change your situation? Share your comments with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hashtag it, The Q. I'm Derriqmaq, and that is this week's cue on All Saints Radio. It's music with a higher calling.
Straight out of the Basilica. All Saints Radio. A new way to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to be more and do more. All Saints Radio. A positive way to express your faith and share the love of God in your community. All Saints Radio with D-Mac.
It's the ASR Interview with Derriqmaq. This week, we are dialing up Sacramento, California for a conversation with V. Rose. What's good, sister?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for having me on.
V. Rose, where is Jesus finding you these days?
Well, recently, I've really been focusing on being content. For a while, I was really struggling with that. Like, not so much struggling, but more so being anxious about, like, staying on top of things or, like, trying to live for tomorrow, you know? It was really starting to affect my peace of mind. And so I started really digging into my Bible and trying to find peace. And when I started doing that, God really showed me that I was trying to do everything and not trusting Him. So that's what I've really been focusing on lately. And it's been honestly so amazing because now that I have really started to do that, I've been able to help so many other people around me who are sort of going through the same thing.
Let's talk about your latest 13 tracks called Young Dangerous Heart. This collection of hits features Derek Minor, Flame, and your girl Angie Rose. I loved your rendition of Sinking Deep, and I know the ASR fam is feeling I love you so much, so take a minute and share with us how the collaboration with Trip Lee came about.
I like how you said it's a collection of songs because it really started out that way. It actually started out as a bigger collection of songs. I think we wrote like 50 songs. So Trip is actually a friend of mine, and I featured on his album a few albums ago, a song called Beautiful Life. And when I was writing for my album, I really wanted to get someone on it that I knew and that I felt, you know, anytime I write songs, I always listen to the music and I'm kind of like, who can make this song stronger? Because that's really initially what a feature's supposed to do. I had the song, I demoed out like the first verse, and I didn't even have a chorus yet, and I just emailed it to Tripp, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in featuring on this song? I really could hear you on it. I didn't even know if he would, if it was his style or whatever, and he hit me back like almost immediately and was like, I love the song. He was in the middle of touring. So anyway, he sent his verse in as the song was going to mix, and I just loved it, and I really felt like he understood the song, and you could just tell he really, really gave me a good verse. Like, he really wanted it to be a good message. And so that was really awesome. Like you said, I love all the features, but I really loved that song. And it was a really cool, like, almost like a duet. It felt like a rap duet,
Yeah, exactly.
So it was just a really cool experience all over. So, yeah.
Because I was singing along, and then you started going up into that upper range, and I was like, well, there goes my singing experience. I was like, let me shut it down and let me wait for Tripp to get on, and I'll just rap along with him. Let's talk about the first annual Invasion Music Awards. It's celebrating the best of Christian hip-hop. I know Derriqmaq was a part of that. Hillary Jane was part of that. One of my other faves, Surf Gang, B-Fade, my boy Luminate, repping NorCal. That was going on at New Life Community Church over there in Fair Oaks, right?
Yeah.
Well, what was that experience like?
It was cool. Like, Flame and I had a show the night before in Phoenix, and then we flew out. So I was, like, scrambling, trying to get ready for, like, award show ready. So, like, not super, super turned up. I didn't know if everyone else was going to be dressing up or what. So
Right,
we didn't really know.
right.
Normally, red carpet is, like, dressed to the nines, but it was really chill. It was really cool. I definitely am looking forward to them doing it again.
I know everyone who hears your music, everyone who hears the way that God has blessed you through your ministry of song will be excited about being a fan. Where can they connect to you on social media?
On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, it's at VRoseMusic. And also my Snapchat, for those of you Snapchatters, it's VRose_music. Definitely check me out.
All right, y'all, that's V Rose on the ASR Interview with Derriqmaq, and this is All Saints Radio. It's music with a higher calling.
Stay connected to the social networks of All Saints Radio on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. #All Saints Radio.